Welcome to Trigger Proof with Mikki Bey, the podcast that helps you stop reacting and start responding. I'm your host, Mikki Bey, emotional regulation coach, speaker, and guide. Each week, we'll explore real stories, practical tools, and conversations that will help you stay calm, confident, and in control, no matter what life throws your way. Let's get started. Welcome to the Trigger Proof podcast. I'm Mikki Bey. I am so excited today because I have the incomparable, the absolutely amazing dating and love coach, Torah Cents, with us here today. And I'm super excited about this conversation, not only for myself, but for all of you, because we are planning on talking about how emotional regulation really sets the experience for what you're going to have when you're in dating and love relationships. So we're going to get into the deep nitty gritty of how this skill is going to help you succeed in dating. So Miss Torah, thank you so much for coming today. How are you feeling?
Not you introducing me like that. I'm feeling a little tantalizing, a little electric.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you do as a dating and love coach.
Yeah. So I'm Torah, as she said, and I actually specialize in helping high achieving women of faith from very traditional religious backgrounds. Could be Christian, could be Muslim, whatever the religious traditional background. I specifically help work with those women in order to build their rosters of high quality men in 90 days. And not just rosters of men that look good, but also men that treat them well as well. Men who serve and support them so that we're just not dating men that we're attracted to. We're dating men who actually show up for us.
Listen, I love that. And one of the things that really drew me to you was the fact that you can tell that you center yourself in your dating process. And I have done some challenges that you've had. And that's the thing that I really took away, especially coming from also a religious background as well. I feel like I was raised to really serve the man. So to hear you say women should really be centering themselves and learn to choose men who serve and support them is mind blowing in and of itself. So I love, love, love that. But how did you learn to date like this? What would take us back to before you were the Torah that we see today? And what was your journey to getting to a place where you could ask for what you want from men, where you can date multiple men at one time unapologetically? Take us through that journey.
That's so funny because I had this, people don't realize that I got married very young, but before I got married, I had a similar mindset of, okay, I am going to just focus on me. I'm going to build me a roster. I'm going to let the best man win, and that's how we're going to do things. But during that time, I was also really good girlish. Like when I got into my marriage, it was now you're married, you got to be a submissive wife. You got to lose all that independence you had. You got to lose all those boundaries, meaning that, oh, like your husband is the one that you're supposed to be serving. Like it has to be flipped now because now you're married and your religion says that. So that's what you're supposed to do. And I completely lost myself in the process, lost my voice, did not have any boundaries, allowed so much to go on in terms of like my marriage and just really putting the man's opinions first. There was a point in time where I felt like I couldn't make a move or a choice unless he told me it was a good one. I wouldn't even post a video if he didn't approve of the video. It was that bad. And it wasn't until I realized how me not putting myself first in my marriage deteriorated who I was as a woman. And I left and went right back to no, this is supposed to be at all stages, not just when you're single, like when you actually get into a relationship with a man. I said, now that I'm out of this marriage, I am going to go home of teaching women always put yourself first, no matter what. It does not matter. Yeah, that's pretty much the story.
So what was your process like though? Because actually today I was looking through your content in preparation for this, and I saw one of your posts where you talked about it's very important that you leave your marriage when you go to jail for your husband or something like that, right? Because your husband had pushed you to a point of actually getting arrested. talk me through like how you get from that point, right, to the woman right now who is able to inspire so many other women to choose themselves inside of their love relationships. And even if they're not in a love relationship, how do you get there? Because what were some of the practical things that you did?
Number one, allowed myself to be compassionate to that old version of myself. I think a lot of times when we get to our breaking point and we realize that, oh, I have just been overgiving, overextending ourselves, we start to despise that version because she let so much happen. But like being very compassionate of that's who got me where I am today. And so just
Mm,
being very compassionate to her, but then also deciding every single day, how am I going to make sure this is a day that serves me? Even when I left my marriage, I didn't, he was, he was like the provider of the household. And I was trying to figure out about my money going on. I had a business, but child, I didn't know what was going to go happen with that business because I left the marriage. So people were going to be like, I felt like people were going to be like, well, she's a fraud. She's left the marriage. She's a fraud dating coach or whatever. And so I was like, I'm going to date. What would it look like to put myself first in dating? That means that there's no excuses here if I want to put myself first. And so I just bought, I left the house. When I went to jail, I got out of jail. I did not go back ever. I
mm,
did not go back because he was like trying to get me to come back, all those types of things. I would only visit my son. That was it. But I would never like spend more than a couple, like an hour or so. I had no clothes. I had no toiletries. I had no furniture. And I just went and bought me a dress off of Shein.
mhm,
And the little cheap little $19 dress, I literally would put on that dress and I would go on dates with that one dress because that's all I
mhm,
had. So that was one way that I put myself first. I think a lot of times when we think about dating, we think about all the obstacles in our way of like why we can't do it. I already know the benefits of dating and what types of men that you can attract when you're dating. So I'm like, this is how I'm going to put my first is I'm just going to buy this dress and I'm going to just wear these dresses to first dates. And I would literally sit at First Watch, the brunch spot,
okay.
every day. And that's how I would get dates. I would just sit there with my
Oh,
laptop. I would sit there
oh,
with my laptop. I didn't have the brain bandwidth for online dating at the time. I would
mhm.
literally sit in First Watch, have my laptop, and I would get dates just by sitting there.
Listen, you heard it here. Take yourself up the first watch with your laptop and get dates. Okay. I love it. So let's talk about where you are now. Because when I met you, I started doing your free challenges that you had. I did a roster challenge and then I did one more challenge. Can't remember the name of it. But one of the things that really struck me is after one of the challenges, you went through a breakup and you brought us through the breakup. And all of us follow your stories like it's a telenovela, right? So we're like going through looking at the relationship, watching you and rooting for a lot of these guys. And then you broke up with one of them. I think you're repairing it now, but talk to me about what happens when there's a rupture inside of this relationship and what your emotional regulation looks like today. What do you do for yourself to soothe yourself now?
Whew. I will just say when I left my marriage, my emotional regulation was extremely fragile because he held a lot of weight in my life and I was so triggered by it. I think the smallest thing would literally set me off. And I was so used to compartmentalizing my marriage so I wouldn't feel anything.
Mm,
So when I left, I was like, everything hurts. Why does everything hurt? I literally felt like I was dying. Every day I would cry in the shower. And I just felt like
mhm.
everything hurt. And I had hired a life coach at the time. Shout out to Catherine. I hired her for 2 years. And she said everything hurts because now you're taking the time to feel. You're not compartmentalized. You're just allowing yourself space to feel. And you're just going to need to process it all. And every day, I just processed a little bit every single day. And it taught me that it's not going to kill me. That if I continue to just sit with all the negative emotions, they're going to flow right through and I'm going to be okay. and enjoy the rest of the day, enjoy the rest of the week. And then I also learned the more that I am able to feel the most negative emotions, the most deepest sadness and deepest griefs, I can experience the greatest loves because I have the capacity to take the risk for the grief, for the loss. And so
Mhm.
I started getting excited. Like, oh, I'm sad. So I'm gonna sit with the sadness. And once this passes, I'm gonna be stronger emotionally. And I will get really sad. So fast forward to the breakup. For those of you who are not familiar with my work, I had a roster of 3 men that I narrowed down to 2 over a 12-month span. And I had told my followers, I am going to choose one of these guys by May. Thing is, I chose not to choose nobody. I chose to choose myself and just not get mad. I said, listen, it ain't worth the cost right now. I'm going to stay
Yep.
single. And then one of them decided they were going to opt out. They were going to opt out for various reasons. And he was, I was so deep. I love all of them. I'm in love with all of them. But his leaving and breaking up with me was one of the saddest times of my life because
Mhm.
when I left my marriage, he was somebody who put me in a house and I didn't have to pay bills for a year. He is the one that took care of me and made sure I was eating, like really set me up in the home that I am now. He has been like a staple like in my son's life. So him leaving was like gut wrenching. I'm like,
Mhm.
why are you I know why he left, but my body was like, why did you leave? And every day I took an hour walk around 7 a.m. in the morning and I cried. I cried the entire walk for about 2.5 weeks. That was like my big grieving period of 2.5 weeks of just crying, but also allowing myself to be like, thank you. Thank you for this
Mhm.
opportunity to be able to love this deeply because that's why I'm hurt so deeply. I know I'm hurt so deeply because I love so deeply. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. So, the practical is I had a lot of practice after leaving my marriage and processing that grief to help me process the breakup grief. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. And as an emotional regulation coach, what I love about your story is you got back into your body, you got out into nature, and you were able to use that tool of walking and being with your emotions and having that release. I grew up with a mother who cried over anything. And so I learned I didn't want to cry. So I didn't cry. I'm still not a big crier, but I did not cry really until I probably got mid 30s. Like truly, I was just not a crier because I had trained myself as a child because I thought it was weak, right? Because my mom would just cry over anything. She cried over happy stuff, sad stuff, whatever. It didn't matter the occasion. She was just crying. And so my brain at that time just said, oh, I don't want to be like that. So I just didn't cry. And so now, when I tell you a good cry will just set you free, that is your body's way of releasing energy. And so you were doing two things at once on that walk. You were really allowing those emotions to move through physically, and you were also allowing that emotion to move through emotionally by allowing the emotions to come out in physical tears. Really super important because you have to really attack it on all three planes. It has to be physical, mental, and the spiritual, right? So if we're only addressing one, I tell people if you're only going to do one, do physical because you get to the other two anyway. But I love that you knew that you needed to get back into your body. And as a woman, being in your body is our superpower. And that's another one of the things that I love about watching you and your pole dancing. And one of the things that I really pride myself on is what I do in private is going to show up in public, right? So having those rituals of getting into your own body, of treating yourself and romanticizing your own life is going to help you inside of the dating process. So talk to me a little bit about what it looks like to have a roster of 3 men and how you contain your emotions, or do you contain your emotions with that? Because you said, I love them all. So tell me a little
Oh
bit about
yeah.
that.
I don't believe in containing emotions. I believe in setting standards and boundaries so
Mhm.
that when you love in a way that serves you. So if I feel a certain type of way about a man, he's gonna know. Even if it's 24 hours, he's gonna know. And the thing is, as a woman, also my love is not shown through labor for a man. That's number one. So I don't labor for men. So therefore I don't get the over investment. Like I feel like I'm taken advantage of. If I love you, you're gonna see it expressed in my body. You're gonna see it expressed in my face. And so I've allowed myself to deeply fall for men that I'm dating and to not hold back and to not act like I'm unbothered. If I'm sad, if I'm disappointed about something that they did, if I'm jealous, I'll share all the feelings. Like, "Oh, I'm jealous." And let them know that's what's going on in my body. And you don't have to do anything about it. There's nothing you have to do. It's just like an expression of who I am. But then I also have boundaries. So yes, I love you and I'm not laboring for you. Yes, I
Yes.
love you and I am not going to go exclusive with you because you have not met the standard that I need in order to see myself with you as a husband. Because in order to go exclusive with me, I need to be able to marry you. And if I can't see myself marrying you, I'm just not going to go exclusive, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. So when you are in these different relationships, how do you manage having maybe a really emotional moment with one man and then over here you're in bliss land over here? So what is happening in your internal environment that you're able to manage both of those situations?
When you say emotional, are you meaning like a negative emotion and then bliss?
It could be maybe you're in conflict with one and maybe you're like in bliss and love honeymoon phase with another. How do you manage that in your own internal environment?
I think I am always in a state of bliss. Even when conflict is there, the lifestyle is bliss. So it's really hard because mainly because I put myself first. I think it's really easy because I put myself first. So no matter if I'm in conflict, I'm just really excited and happy and joyful. There was something that I mentioned on my podcast episode about one of the guys pissing me off because he said he was going to make me a particular soup, peanut soup, and he didn't make it. And I got over there and it wasn't made. And I said that unfortunately, like this doesn't work for me. You said that you were going to do something. This is about you saying what you were going to do and you did not do it. So therefore, I'm not going to be spending time with you or making extra time with you if you're not going to do what you say you're going to do. There was conflict there, but there was a lot of love in the
Mhm.
conversation. I love you and I will not be coming to your house. I love you and I require for you to stand by your word. So it's never like this where we're enemies. It's I love you and I have boundaries.
I love that. And boundaries are love, right? Because boundaries are really teaching people how to treat you. I think you do that well across the board, even with your female friends. And you have talked a lot about how you're the women friends in your life, you have a standard for them. And you are in reciprocal relationships with all of the people in your life, which I think really is remarkable because, again, a lot of us are just defaulting to whatever we were taught or programmed to do instead of really taking charge and designing the type of relationships, all relationships, not just love relationships. But I have the same standard across the board as well. My girlfriends, I am so loved by my girlfriends. The outfit I have on today, my best friend literally bought me. So I am so incredibly loved. And one of the things that has really helped me in my dating life, coming from being divorced and now dating again, is really focusing on how do I feel? Can I pinpoint the emotion? And then can I sit with that emotion, allow it to be there? Because it's about the full range, as you mentioned. All of it is good. There's no such thing as a bad emotion. And so understanding whatever I am feeling is telling me something about me, and that is the information that I'm interested in. I want to grow above all. And so the best way for me to grow is to do my own work, to be aware of what's happening for me. But then also in interpersonal relationships, baby, it's nothing like a relationship to show you where you still got some wounds. Okay. So
Mhm.
I want to get into that. What are some of the things that you see with your clients as they are going through that journey, maybe from single to dating to in an exclusive relationship? What are some of the emotional regulation red flags, if you will, that you see at each stage?
Oh, when they think feeling negative, when they have a feeling that makes them feel bad, like that's a problem.
Mm.
They're just like, "Oh, I'm so upset," and this shit. I'm like, "Okay, that's not a like they make it a problem which drains them from dating. If you take frustration and you make that a problem, it's going to exhaust you. If you take disappointment and you make it a problem, it's going to point you just like you mentioned, it's feedback. It's not a bad emotion. You feel negative around it, but it's not a bad emotion. It's actually the feedback. You're feeling frustrated. Why? Because you're overinvesting. Now, let's see where all the places you're overinvesting. You're responding to questions you don't want to respond to, right? So that's why you're frustrated, or you're allowing a man to keep canceling on you and keep rescheduling the dates. Those are going to be problems for you. Instead of you thinking it's a problem with dating, it's a problem with you not recognizing that this is feedback for you to change some things, for you to set yourself up to be put first here, and you're not doing that. So that's one particular red flag that I see. And then also another red flag is they want to prevent certain emotions
Mhm.
and they want to be in love at the same time. You can't do that. I don't want my heart broken. You don't want to be in love. If you want to prevent your heart being broken, you don't want to crack it open for love either. Like you have to be open to the brokenness of your heart, to be open to the also to the fulfillment of it. And they don't want to do. And a lot of times, like I have to point out to them, like, no, heartbreak, like being open to heartbreak is going to be very important for you to be able to meet the man that you will fall deeply in love with. That's another red flag of trying to hide from pain. And then three, not realizing that it's all arranged
Mhm.
and it's all okay. It's all arranged. Also, if you can't see me, I'm like put my hand up and down like a roller coaster. It's like up and down. Like they expect to be on a high the whole time during dating, not realizing that it all dating require like life requires 50% of up peaks and valleys, and you have to be available and appreciate all of them. Yeah.
That's really good. One of the things that I think about in terms of the heartbreak is that the times in my life where I've been really heartbroken have always given me the biggest growth spurts and made me into the next version of the woman that I really was intended to become. And so not all partners are meant for the long haul. And I think one of the things that I have learned in my dating journey is to stop coming to conclusions so quickly about people that you don't know what they're going to be. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy going on the hike. Enjoy going to dinner. Enjoy doing the activities that you want to do and being with this person and allow it to be in the moment. And I deal with a lot of high achieving women as well who are in masculine energy all day and then want to go into relationships, right? And we have to learn that the way that we are in work is not going to work in your personal life. We're so used to being able to look at something and say, oh, I know how to intellectually get this. And so this should fall in line exactly the way that I planned it. And if something doesn't go exactly how you wanted it to go, now you don't want to do it. You over it. And I have been guilty of this. I have been guilty of this. But one of the things that has helped me is recognizing when I'm doing something from lack or fear.
Mm.
And if I am doing something, or if I am not doing something, right, because I'm fearful, like I love that you said, I tell them how I feel whenever, even if it's 24 hours later, because the only reason you wouldn't is because you're fearful of what they are going to say and or do. If you are not
Mm.
fearful of that because you are everything already for yourself, so now I get to just come and share. And I think that is the message that I want women to really understand about emotional regulation or dating or whatever. Is that You have to practice this skill for self, and it will help you everywhere else, right? It's not, I'm doing this so that I can be calm for my man.
Mm.
No, you're doing this so that your internal environment is that bliss that you spoke about. And when you are in bliss and in ecstasy on the inside of your body, your external environment has to reflect that. And the experiences you have will reflect that as well. Okay, so what happens when you meet a man and he is check, check, check all the boxes, right? He's treating you right. He's doing all the things. I want to talk about the dysregulation that can happen when you get the guy. Because I think a lot of us, we're in this kind of fantasy land about the man that we want and almost making him like a phantom man. But every once in a blue moon, you might get somebody who fits exactly that. And this has happened to me where I was completely dysregulated for actually meeting the person that checked all my boxes. So talk to me a little bit about that. Why is it that we get dysregulated when we get what we want?
Uh, oh my, we want it, but at the same time, there's a place in us that feels like we may not be able to have it
Mhm.
for whatever reason. Oh, can I have this? Am I able to have it? And so the doubt that creeps in like dysregulates, because if we knew we could have it, there would be no dysregulation. Like it's like
Mhm.
we go in the kitchen and drink water every day. There's no dysregulation around that because we know we can go in there and do it. But imagine if it was a famine and there was barely any water. Like you would be dysregulated around water about even being able to
Yes.
you would wake up like, do we got water today? Do we got so it all comes from can I have? Like how you had mentioned about lack. I remember I was telling my clients one time when I first met Saudi. Saudi was one of the men I was dating, multimillionaire, tall, dark, handsome, just super intelligent individual. And we had a great 2 dates when I first met him online because he was visiting town. He wasn't local. And then he traveled somewhere. He traveled to, yeah, he traveled to LA from here right after that. And then I had not heard from him in 5 days,
Mhm.
5 days. And something happened. I was just like, what's going on? What's going on in your body? Like the body was like, my body was telling me, oh, he doesn't want to talk to you anymore, or he's done talking to you. And then I went on my walk.
There you go.
I went on my walk. I was like, Tora, breathe. It's all good. It's okay. You have everything you need. You're safe. You're good. And if you guys are in alignment, he'll call. And then, like, he called later on that day after the dysregulation. But there was a place in me, I was like, where do I think I can't have it? Have this, so to say. So, yeah.
I Listen, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. So as an emotional regulation coach, I just want to make it very clear. Dysregulation is going to happen. Period. Like in your life, you will be dysregulated, and dysregulation is a part of is a part of being regulated. It must happen. Everything has an equal and opposite. So when you are experiencing dysregulation, this is an opportunity to get curious. It's an opportunity to say, what is on the inside of me that I need to give attention to right now? And generally speaking, dysregulation is coming from our inner child, and our inner child is screaming something to us, and we are abandoning ourselves in some way, which is what makes us fear abandonment from the people that we're dating. So if we're addressing those needs first, it allows you to come to the situation much more free and at ease. I also love what you said about, if you're in alignment, he's going to come back or he's going to flow out naturally. One of the things that I absolutely love that I learned in your challenge was release that man back to the wild. If he is not meeting our checklist, he got to go. And I don't care how fine he is, how much money he has, or whatever, he has to go. And this is really important because the scarcity mindset is dysregulation. Hear me. It puts you in fight or flight. So when you are choosing from a place of, oh, I don't know if I can get another guy like this, it's already dead in the water. You're already dead in the water because you have already taken your focus off of yourself, put it on him, put him on a pedestal. And now you're in a situation where you're constantly trying to pull your energy back from him, and it's not going to happen. So, when you think about one of the things that happens when you're in the relationship from a regulation standpoint, what are some of the things that you're seeing once they are in the relationship that they could probably work on to make sure that they get to the next level if marriage is what they want?
From a state of navigating dysregulation while they're in
Yeah.
the relationship, what I've noticed is like when I've helped women get to this point, they start self-sabotaging because then there's also it's that thing of can I have it keeps coming up. And like you mentioned about the self-abandonment piece, that's very huge because now they're focusing on, okay, I had one client. The guy was speaking very direct to her. Nothing was wrong with what he was saying, but it was challenging who she thought she was.
Mm.
I'm not this perfect person I thought I was, but this good ass man. I don't know if I could.
No, girl, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this good ass man that I value and I think is better than me, subconsciously, that's what we're thinking. He's challenging me on, so something must be wrong with me. So therefore, I'm dysregulated at that point. So
Mhm.
I'm going to snap. I'm going to get defensive. They don't know what's going on. They don't know that they feel insignificant in the midst of this man. Or they'll attract men with lots of money, lots and lots of money. And I feel so insignificant because my finances aren't that good. My credit isn't that good. I don't know what to do with a man like that. Like, I don't know if he's really interested in a woman like me. So it dysregulate, but like you said, it's like they're abandoning who they actually are in favor of the other person. So if you put yourself first, and that includes taking care of yourself and tending to your needs, if you do that, then that can put you back into regulation. But as long as you're outsourcing your feelings, your safety to somebody else and or another one, they want the man to validate them, to make
Mhm.
them feel good. If I don't get this type of attention from him, then I'm not going to feel good about myself. Those types of things. So I've seen the majority of those reasons why women get dysregulated in relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, so let me tack on to that. When you are outsourcing your regulation to someone else's behavior, so if you are looking at this person you're dating and you're saying, if they don't do this, I can't feel this, you're making this if then like scenario, you are never going to feel good in your internal environment because you cannot control what someone else is doing. You cannot outsource that to someone else's behavior. This is an opportunity to practice your regulation when he's not calling the way that you want him to call, when you wanted to do something this weekend and he's not available, or whatever the case may be. This is an opportunity for you to get back into yourself and to say, okay, you know what? What is it that I like to do? One of the things that I was really bad at was if I like somebody, my mind is all the way in the future about what's going to happen with this person. And I would lose what's going on in the present. And so now, because I have worked so hard to maintain my center of gravity on the inside of myself, whatever, if I was already planning to go to Pilates and my man calls me and says, I want to take you to breakfast at 10 o'clock. I'm sorry, baby. I can't go at 10 o'clock. I can go at 12 when I'm done with
Mm.
Pilates.
Mm.
Because when we start maneuvering, shape shifting, and doing things because we are afraid of losing love and attention, it is not going to work out long term.
Mm-mm.
And this is a practice because again, like you're doing this work, I'm doing this work, and we have communities that we support where women are doing this work. But as common as we feel like this is, it's not common, right? Because we have to teach it and we have to learn it. And for me, one of the things that I center my own life on every day is I am perfect, whole, and complete. I need nothing. That
Mm.
is my personal affirmation every single day. And that just reminds me I'm not coming in the world to take, I'm coming in the world to give. And so when I'm coming from a full cup scenario, then now, I mean, I'm having fun at Publix, at the grocery store. I'm having a good time standing in line at the bank. And that is what makes us magnetic, where we are completely inside of ourselves and, dare I say, self centered in the best way, right? We have to be self centered. That is going to help you maintain your emotional regulation when you're not looking for someone to act a certain way so that you can feel good,
I
right?
actually, in my marriage, was one of the most dysregulating periods of my life,
Mm.
of needing him to be a certain way, like trying to force him to be a certain kind of man, and would really cry and like really blame him. I spent the first few years like blaming him for why I wasn't happy. And he would say, That's on you. That's on you." And I'm like, even though the stuff he was doing was re damn ridiculous, it still was on me at the end of the day. So even though it was so toxic, I remember learning how to be happy
Mm.
with what was in front of me and not try to change him anymore. And to be honest, I think that sent him spiraling. I'm like, happy, you do what you're doing. I don't care anymore. I'm so happy in my corner of this marriage, and I'm just going to be here.
And look how that has served you though, because you learned that in a really tough time. And now you still operate from that. And that's the thing. Like, I teach emotional regulation because I need it. Like, I'm a naturally like feeling, very feeling person. And one of the things that is so wonderful about this skill and this tool is that if you can learn to not allow your external environment to affect how you feel internally, and you can find that place on the inside. It doesn't matter. It can be a tsunami outside. It can be anything can be going on. I went through a whole divorce. And when I tell you, it was a time where there was a lot of paradox because that one chapter is ending, but I was so excited about what the possibilities were.
Oh,
And so leaning into the side of I don't know what this is gonna be, but I bet it's gonna be delicious. I
ah,
bet it's gonna be so yummy. And even when I've gone through breakups after my divorce, or even when I've gone through tough periods with interpersonal relationships or as an entrepreneur, whatever it is, it's all the same subject, I remind myself that friction is required for growth.
mm,
And when I am open to how this is breaking me wide open, and I'm open to receive the gifts that are on the other side of this pain, I would take whatever situation brought that 100 times over because of what it brought out of me and what I learned about myself. And that is always going to serve us as women. If we want to be whole and complete women, we have to start looking at it from the perspective of I am mine first. I am for me first. Even as a mother, I am still for me first.
mm.
And I teach my son that as well. I have physical boundaries with my son. If I'm all touched out, I let him know, mommy needs some time. My son, he practices emotional regulation too. He gets to be upset about that. And that's another thing. We have to allow people to feel how they feel. You do not manage other grown people's emotions. They are responsible for how they feel, and you are responsible for how you feel, what's in your internal environment. Now, there is a co shared responsibility to not try to injure someone. But if I say something to you that was said in the best possible way. I tried to do it as best I possibly can, and you were offended for some reason. The offense is yours.
It's all yours.
Yes, that's for you to deal with. Okay, so wrapping this up, this conversation is absolutely like just feeding my soul. But wrapping this up, what are some of the things that you think women need to focus on as they are either preparing to go into dating and wanting to be in a committed relationship? And or what are some things that they need to drop? So what do they need to work on and what are some things they need to drop if they want to be successful in dating?
Being as though this conversation is around emotional regulation, and I do feel like it's key being able to touch your feelings and feel them. I think that's going to be key because the women that I particularly work with, good girls, traditional religious background, feeling feelings has not been something that has been awarded a lot of us that have come from that background. We have been taught that we have to perform and look a certain way and act a certain way. It doesn't matter how we feel about it. It's like you'll be loved and accepted and adored if you meet this standard, if you make these grades, if you keep your legs closed, if not in our male counterparts, they were loved regardless. But we had to meet certain standards. And so we have not allowed ourselves to just feel and to touch those feelings. And because of that, when our identity is being challenged from who we thought we were, we actually really struggle navigating those emotions. I promise you, Mikki said, if you can regulate your emotions, you can touch those feelings, you'll be able to navigate dating like a pro. You'll be able to talk to men, meet high quality men, move in and out of heartbreak like a pro and never be exhausted, never be drained of it. If you can learn that one thing, that will be key for you. But then that also requires for you to put yourself first.
It does.
It
It
requires.
does.
And
Oh my gosh.
go,
Go ahead.
you want to say something else?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, dropping. There's so many things we need to drop, but if I was to name one thing that we should drop as women as we're navigating our dating lives is, whew, it's so much. I would say drop the mask.
Mm.
We want to be seen a certain way. We want people to look at us a certain way, and it controls our actions. Like us not being able to emotional regulate is all around control. We don't know how to surrender. Drop the mask and allow people to see the version of you that really wants to be expressed, but you're just nervous to express it. Now that's going to take practice. But the more we drop the mask, the easier it is for us to attract the men that are going to align with us. The more we pretend, we're going to attract pretenders or men that are obsessed with that curated version of yourself. Imagine just being able to relax and be yourself and attract the men that you want, knowing that they love that version of you versus I have to do this and this and that to get a man's attention. That's what I'll say.
And to that, I would say identity is always going to drive behavior. So who you say that you are and who you feel that you are is going to inform how you act. And what I see a lot with my clients who come in for emotional regulation is that the identity piece is all still the program part. So what I work with people on is, okay, who was I programmed to be? And then who am I deciding to be? Who am I choosing to be? And then how do I embody that day in and day out? And it's not for outcome. I really try to get women to stop doing things for the outcome, which goes to the good girl, the high achiever thing, is that we want the reward at the end of this, right? Where's my treat? Where's my award? Where is my trophy? And we have got to do things because it feels good to do. We've got to do things because we get to learn something. We have to do things because we want the connection piece. We have to do things just because it lights us up. And that will be the path that you continuously take towards anything that you want, whether it's money, man, new job, whatever it is. When you're following what lights you up, you're automatically going to get there. And if there's something that I would say women could drop in dating and in general in life, is to keep your standards, drop your preferences, because preferences are actually completely made up. They're your programming. And so I challenge anytime there's a preference that comes up for me, I challenge it and I say, okay, is this just me wanting something because I think I'm supposed to want it? For instance, the good morning text or the good evening text. My man ain't never text me good morning. And at first, I was like, dang, what the hell? is my good morning text. And I almost made it a thing. And then I was like, this is a preference. Is he showing up? Is he there when I need him? Is he able to meet me when I bring up something that is hurtful to me? Can he hold that? Those are the things that are my standard. You have to be emotionally safe for me. Are you those things? Not, did you send me a good morning text by 7:30 when you wipe the crust out of your eye? So understanding that your standards are not flexible. My standard is my standard, but my preferences, I can look at those and audit those and see where they came from and see if it's something that I need to keep or if it's something that I can let go of. 9 times out of 10, I will tell you preferences you can let go. 9
So
times out of 10.
good.
I feel like there's some people out there, if I say what I really want to say, would be like, but no, 10 out of 10, really, you can drop your preferences because the preference is all built out of your programming, period. It is
Yeah,
from past experiences,
and
right?
nobody ain't saying you can't have them. We're just saying that's not the focus.
Don't let it stop you is the thing, because a
Yeah.
lot of us get so into the nitty gritty of it has to be like this. Allow yourself to be a painter with this. Put some paint on your fingers and swirl it around and see what it makes. You can only get the outcome you're programmed to get, which is why we do no nervous system work, is because if you have not yet had a relationship that you absolutely love, your programming is determining that outcome. So we have to interrupt the program in order for you to get a different result. And that is going to require you being willing to do some things differently, you being willing to see some things differently. And so that would be my kind of like nugget to women out there is just allow yourself to maintain your standard and let go of your preferences. Any last words, Miss Torah, before we
No,
get out of here?
girl, I just enjoy my time here. Thank you for allowing me to speak to your audience. I just want to say, guys, whatever she's saying today, take it to heart and implement just one thing that she taught. Just one thing to get closer to your goals. But yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. You, I have to say this to you publicly. You are someone who has really had a huge impact on me, even without your knowledge. I had to tell you what happened for me in my personal life. And the reason I did that is because I want all the people who are healers and teachers and coaches and mentors and all of that to understand that it's not just your clients that you are touching. When you are using your gifts in your life and you are giving of that freely, there are people behind the scenes and in the shadows and in the wings who are benefiting. And I am one of those people for Torah. She's taught me so much. And also just by watching how you live your life and how you live your life out loud. And so thank you for being willing to be a person who is up for whatever criticism may come or up for the praise or whatever, because it is a part of your authentic story and it is helping people. So I just want to say thank you for my own life and thank you for all the other people that you may never know you have touched. I want to let you know that you have and keep it up and tell the people where they can find you all on the interwebs.
Thank you. I'm honored by that, by the way. But you can find me. I'm most likely going to be hanging out on Instagram at Torah Cents. That's my hangout spot. And I also have a podcast that you can go listen to. It's called the Date with Sense podcast. Date with CENTS. So check that out. I have over 200 masterclass episodes for you to learn how to build your roster as a good girl without being
And let me
guilty or
tell you
messy.
that podcast, baby, if you study what she says in that podcast, it'll take you the way. I'm telling you. So, Torah, thank you so much for being here today. This was an absolute joy. You are a national treasure, honey. Okay. So thank you so much for doing what you do. And we will see you next time on Trigger Proof. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks for joining me on Trigger Proof with Mikki Bey. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're really ready to dive deeper, download my free emotional regulation bundle. It includes my ebook, workbook, and a masterclass to help you start regulating with confidence. Find the link in the show notes. And until next time, stay steady, stay grounded, and stay trigger proof.